Honey and ivory live together in perfect harmony, side by side on my piano keyboard. Oh Lord, why don't we? Happy $2 Tuesdays. What's going on with you out there? Hope you are feeling good, because I know you look good. All right, so, we try to have a little bit of fun around here and stuff like that, but they don't want us to have any fun right now. And that's okay, because guess what? Life isn't always about fun. Life is about being informed. So, the more I'm informed, the more I try to inform you. If you want to leave a comment or something and inform me, like people have done recently, and I appreciate it, whether I like the comment or not, I still appreciate it. So, we have one Megyn Kelly. Now, let's talk a little bit about Megyn Kelly, because I always like to first, anytime that you're going to talk about somebody, focus on what they've accomplished, the greatness that they are, and even a reason for them to even be talked about. So Megyn Kelly was once on Fox News. I saw her. I was like, okay, yeah, little blondie, kind of cute Joan, right? You know what I'm saying? Back in the teens, 2000 teens, whatever. And then she went over and I said, wow, she's really doing good. Or maybe she's just cute enough. And she also is, let me back up, stop. She is a lawyer. She's an attorney. So we don't want to take that away from her. Then also, she was on Fox News, leaning more to the right side. Then she went to the Today Show. Because like a lot of people, I used to be an avid Today Show watcher. And I was like, okay, well, let's see how this goes, because we kind of know how Fox News people are. And you're trying to bring her on to the mainstream. And let's see, Fox, MSNBC, I think MSNBC would be a part of NBC. But hey, look, somebody says to you, hey, listen, dog, I got $15-20 million for you each year. You go on and leave Fox and come on over here. Now, allegedly, she said that she left Fox at the time because, it was a quote unquote snake pit, and that, she just, wanted to have more time to focus on her kids or do whatever that was reported, or that I had when I done my little bit of research. So what happens is she goes over to the Today Show and she happens to say, they were talking about, because it was like some Real Housewives of New York or whatever they have going on up there. And one of the women on there were dressed in blackface for Halloween. And people started pointing out, and NBC got a huge backlash about that, saying like, yo, like, what's going on? You don't know that blackface isn't acceptable? So she came up with some reasoning as to why, basically what's wrong with it. And once again, as I always tell you, don't take my word for it, do your research. So what happened was, after a lot of back and forth with it, they decided to cancel the show. And then I believe, from what I was reading, that she still walked out with the remainder, or $30 million that was in her contract, basically to leave. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But just as an adult, I probably figure, hey, they tried to give her a chance because, like I told you, she has a cute face. So they probably said, let's give her a chance to have a show on big network. And everybody knows, once upon a time, the Today Show was a big deal. And it still is kind of a deal, but not like back before the cable days, especially. It was a big deal to get on there. So, couple things I want to point out about that, because see, how we always talk about, or how like the late Charlie Kirk and other people talked about affirmative action and DEI and just different things like that. Let me ask you a quick question. When you watch TV a lot, what do you see most of? Do you see a lot of black people? Do you see a lot of Asian people, like promoting stuff, selling things and everything like that? You really don't. So and also too, when you get to these higher level anchors that are on, and I'm not talking about the local news, because local news does do a good job in having a very diverse crew. I'll give it to them. Shout out to Action News here in Philly. But when we get to these huge platforms where millions and millions of people nationally and internationally are watching each day, it seems kind of fizzle out a little bit. So I wonder, does Megyn Kelly, did she get the job because she was cute? Of course you got to be talented, so we're not going to take that away from her. But, I'm sure that there are other people that were talented also. But She got the job. So we don't want to go through all of that, right? Because she was qualified, just like many other people that are of different colors that don't get jobs, but they're qualified also, not just DEI. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because she did this during the Diddy trial, and like from what I'm seeing now, a lot of times in America, as opposed to people just not getting totally canceled or mobbed on by saying the N-word or saying, whatever. Some people still use monkey, the word monkey. Some people use thug. Some people use monster. Just that we covered that before. And just different other things, as opposed to say, we all know about that one, you people or those people. So just little code words as to not get caught up in what you really want to say. Like, tell us what you really feel. Megyn, tell us how you feel. So we want to play a clip, and this is from, because we want to give out our credit, and this is from Pondering Politics. So it's another YouTube channel that's online that I came across because I had seen these comments maybe a week and a half ago. And the reason why I like playing this and I like us to be aware is because we have to be aware of what's going on around us, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not. You still need to know what's going on. So let's play a little bit about Megyn. This is her talking to somebody else. But once again, I got it off of Pondering Politics, their YouTube channel. So let's see what she's talking about with this guy.
I'm torn because
this is about Charlie Clark.
I like vengeance. I was never a prosecutor, but I went to law school because I thought that's what I wanted to do with my life. I'm fine with vengeance, and I hope to see it exacted on the perpetrator of this crime.
I just want to stop there for just a second.
Once again, let's stop there, just like he's saying. Let's stop there for a second. You want to see vengeance on a crime that, once again, this is a leaning right Republican, staunch Republican. You want to see vengeance. Now, you look at her, right? And you say to yourself, that she looks like the all-American next door girl, right? She wouldn't talk like that, would she? Nah, she wouldn't talk like that. She just talked like that. So let's move on.
Justice dealt
and what we're going to do is
the state from a
we're going to go because
we don't feel like ourselves. We haven't felt like ourselves in a while.
Watch this.
I'm sorry to get political, but I'm just going to be honest. We haven't felt like ourselves since Barack Obama. I just think he was such a slick snake. He was this affable guy who was like wearing good suits and looked the part and sounded the part and dressed the part, but was so divisive in his messaging. The left, they look at you like when you say this, they don't know what you're talking about. It's like, because you don't pay attention to the other half of the country. You only pay attention to your absurd news sources, which spin and spin and spin to protect Democrats, especially if they're named Obama. He's the one who started to inject race where no one had been doing it. He's the one who started to use his pen and the phone to shove things down our throat that we didn't want. He's the one who shoved through an entitlement on our health care and our personal doctor visits that he promised he wouldn't mess with, and then he did, really hurting people, causing massive anger and open lies. He never missed an opportunity to twist the knife on the racial issue. He would do it subtly and in his own way, but it was very clear what he was doing. For the first time, we had a president who weighed in on legal cases before they'd played out. We never did that. That was a taboo that had never been crossed before him. And Donald Trump was the reason Barack Obama... reverse that. Barack Obama was the reason Donald Trump came about, that he was born as a political figure. They say Trump's divisive. He was the antidote. He was the answer to the divisiveness of Barack Obama. And we just haven't felt like ourselves for years now.
That was the weird...
Let's let that soak in for a second. Talked about this a few weeks ago. The whole Make America Great Again dialogue or saying or whatever it is. You see how all of these things are coded? Now, things have not been the same since Barack Obama. Barack Obama in '08, she said that also. Barack Obama, '08 was almost 20 years ago. Almost 20 years ago. And this is the reason why I play some of these clips, because to be honest with you, if somebody would just tell me is like, you know, me, like somebody whispering down the lane or me hearing this secondhand, I'd say, you know what? Nobody would even have the nerve to come out and say craziness like that, especially a woman who's as accomplished as she is and a woman who is an attorney, which Barack Obama is also. I would think that she would say, you know what, first of all, this is the former president of the United States. And as a black person, from my perspective, and like a lot of other black people feel, we were proud and still are proud to have had a Barack Obama in office. But even a lot of us feel like we wish, as black people, he could have done more for us or would have done more for us. What is she talking about? You could even look at the numbers, just to address another thing she said about health care. Health care isn't just for black people. Is she crazy? Does she know how many other races of people, specifically even white people, that need that health care, that are poor? And once again, don't take my word for it. Look it up. Some of the poorest states that vote Republican, they are some of the poorest states. Mississippi, I think Alabama, North Carolina, just to name a few. Some of the poorest states that need these things. Have you ever heard a Democrat say, hey, no, I don't care about that. Let's just get rid of that because, you know, just because. And this is what I mean about you got people that live on earth that make decisions that are mean-spirited. So when you have mean-spirited people making bad decisions, there is no, I don't care if you don't believe in a two-party system. When you got one side of the gang always smearing and talking down about something, because for me, like I always say, it's really about the end result. You could say I talked about you, but in the end result is, did I help you? Did I support you? Even if we weren't friends, did I respect you? And that's where this divide will never stop. Because Republicans, or not all of them, but some of them feel like they always got to tell somebody else what they're doing wrong. No, what can we do together to be right? Just like I said in the beginning, Ebony and Ivory, Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson came together, made a great song. And it was more than a song. It was talking about how people, because as I always say, and you've heard me say before, it's always black and white. It's a million different races in this joint, a billion different beliefs. But somehow, it always comes back to one group trying to denigrate another group. For the most part, with Barack Obama, he handled himself as a class act. And I'm telling you, most black people will probably tell you too classy. He couldn't get a lot of stuff done because he didn't have the Congress or the Senate. And a lot of the stuff he got blocked. Thank God they were able to pass the National Health Care Act that Trump continues to try to destroy. I mean, you tell me, y'all, does it make any sense to you? Does it make any sense to you? Another thing I didn't play in that clip, and once again, you can watch her full rant. She says that her children, Charlie Kirk was one of the few people that she allowed her children to listen to in their algorithm. Okay, that's cool. You know, you do. For me, I'm not sitting up here trying to challenge freedom of speech and any of that other kind of stuff. But nothing in this world is truly free. There is a consequence to pay. There is a price to pay for everything. So were your kids listening to Charlie Kirk when he was talking about demeaning black people or gay people? You know, me as a parent, I wouldn't care if it was a black person talking like that. That's like me. You know, I respect some of the stances of Dr. Umar Johnson. My kids wouldn't be listening to it though. Even if they were teenagers, my kids wouldn't be listening to that. Now, I'm not sure because I don't know. I think she's 54, so I don't know how old her kids are. Her kids may be adult. But still, anyone that preached that other people, because somebody tried to comment and tell me this, I was taking it out of context, or I didn't understand the full context of what. There is no full context when you start talking about someone else's race on a public platform. It is wide open for anybody's interpretation, how they feel, because you're not that. I can't tell an Asian person what I think that they should do culturally, and I'm not Asian. I can't tell a white person whether they're Irish, Italian, German, any other race or people from any other European country how to be, because I'm not them. But why is it that people always want to tell black people how to be? And finally, that's the reason why in the beginning I talked about her calling Fox a snake pit. What did she just call Barack? A snake oil salesman or snake oil, whatever? He was divisive. He was divisive. He could hardly get anything passed, but he was divisive. I think the biggest lesson for me, and even talking about this stuff with you and just doing this stuff, is seeing that is the world a little bit better? Yeah, it probably is, since the civil rights movement. Yeah, they'll let you go, you know, you can go buy your car or whatever if you have enough money or a good credit score. But that's not based off of equality. If anything, to me, it's based more off of capitalism, because everybody wants to make a buck, and you know, they know minorities, black people, gay people, other kind of people, their money is green just like anything else. So why stop the green from coming in? But you know, it's always deeper than that when you have people, you know, who are influential, like a Megyn Kelly, who has millions of followers probably throughout all of her platforms and is a nationally recognized, internationally recognized personality, is, and I've said this before, when is it going to stop? And I get it, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but how much morally, how much dignity do you want to take away from people? Do you want people to feel the lowest of the lows? Because this is what I would do. I'm just going to give you a for instance, but I'm a different kind of cat, right? Let's just say an Asian were to become the president of the United States. An Asian American were to become the president of the United States. The first Asian American ever to become president of the United States. And you know why I can say this clearly and with a clear conscience? Because as I said before, I voted for a white woman as president in Hillary Clinton. I voted for a black woman as president in Kamala Harris. So I can say this clearly. If an Asian American were to become a president, and I knew that was the first, could possibly be the only person that stood for somebody, stood for a group of people that were allegedly a minority in this country of giving, this country of opportunity. The last thing I would do Especially if they've done no crimes, they've done nothing heinous, they've committed no felonies, unlike the person that she defends. I would watch what I say. Because unlike me as an African American, I don't just think solely of myself. I think about the group as a collective. So that's why I feel like I gotta put these messages out, because there's too many times now that as a collective, us, whether it's them, they tried Martin Luther King, assassinating his character and all that. Listen, you gotta stand up. I gotta stand up. Yeah, I can sit back and talk about Cameron, a Dame Dash, a Jay-Z going broke, and we will talk about some of that stuff later this week. But still, this has to be at the forefront, because it's no joke. Everybody that's anybody in the black community winds up getting egg on their face from another community. And you know why? Because what we're going to talk about later is sometimes the people throwing the egg look like you and me. And in closing, I don't expect anybody that looks like me or doesn't look like me to treat me better than I expect somebody to look that does look like me. Because everybody has an agenda, right? Let's just say this. Let's just say if white Americans are the majority, regardless of whether they're Irish, Italian, American, and so on, whomever is the majority, they already got the head start. They already got the team members. So if they say something, they may get 1 million people to pay attention. Whereas if you're in a minority, you may not even get 1/3 of that. So if I was in the majority, but I'm a little different, I probably wouldn't be that irresponsible. But if I were in the majority, it pays to speak negatively about the minority. You get it? If you are in the majority and more of the people in the country look like you, it makes you more money to talk about somebody that doesn't, or that is a minority. Because what did we talk about yesterday? Bully mentality. Because the bully has already won. So since the bully has won, he finds other minions to pile on and be more bullies. And what happens when you go to fight back? You get swatted down because you have no representation. And as I've always said before, that's why people fill the race card. There are a lot of people out here who don't just feel good and comfortable to say, oh, I got my little few dollars in the bank. I got my nice car. I got my nice house. Some people feel more than that inside of them. But you got these entitled cats, these rich people, you know, popular people like a Megyn Kelly that will continuously put people down. But if you ever notice, very, very rarely call out their own. Because, you know, calling out your own in this situation, especially with Trump, can get you canceled. Right? Right. But hey, you tell me what you think. I think I've said enough. I think I went on too long today. But In the words of a Gregorio King, live life. Don't let life live you.